Today is the 8th of May 2026. Yesterday I explained how the 5 hindrances can be prevented and cured through the development of the 5 jhanic factors. Unless they are prevented and cured, they can halt and hinder the development of wholesome mental qualities such as mindfulness and concentration. Especially, they can obstruct the rising of wisdom and weaken the wisdom that has already arisen. Then I explained how concentration gives rise to wisdom when the hindrances are kept away from the mind. At the end of the talk, I spoke about the characteristic of wisdom. Wisdom has the characteristic of illumination, means it sheds light on what was previously hidden or obscure by ignorance. The second characteristic of wisdom is penetrative realization of things as they truly are. Wisdom does not merely skim the surface. It penetrates deeply into the true nature of reality. It sees beyond appearance, beyond assumption, and beyond conceptual thinking. It directly perceives the fundamental characteristics of existence, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. Just as a sharp spear pierces through a vein, or a surgeon's scalpel cuts to reach the root of a disease, wisdom cuts through delusion to expose what is real. It penetrates the layers of conditioning and ignorance that obscure the truth. When this kind of insight arises, the meditator begins to see reality clearly and directly. For example, imagine you are looking at a line of ants from a distance. At first glance, it may appear to be just a static line or a solid object or even a non-living thing. But as you step a little closer, you begin to notice some movement. Although you are still unsure what exactly you are seeing, at that slight movement, becomes, as the slight movement become more noticeable, the initial wrong perception, wrong perception of a lifeless or unchanging line starts to fade. Then as you move even closer, you begin to recognize that, oh, it's a line of ants marching. Now you are certain that it's not an inanimate object or something other kind of creature, but ants. You continue moving closer, and now you can see the ants as individual beings, each one distinct. At this point, even the wrong view of continuity, the illusion of a single continuous thing subsides. In the same way, at the beginning of the practice, one may hold wrong views about physicality and mentality, seeing them as I, he, she, man, woman, or perceiving them as permanent, pleasant, or as a self. Even in the early stages of meditation practice, meditators often perceive only conceptual objects such as the nose, abdomen, leg, hand, body as a whole. These are recognized based on general shape, location, or conventional labels. At times, meditators may notice the form, pattern, or appearance of bodily objects rather than their true nature. But as meditators continue progressing in their practice, they begin to directly observe realities, both physical and mental. They come to understand that the body is not a solid or unified thing, but a composition of different types of physical phenomena. Among these physical phenomena, the four great elements are primary. The four great elements are primary, and these are earth element, water element, fire element or the element of temperature, and air element. These elements do not appear as literal earth, water, fire, or air. Instead, they are known through their natural qualities, their individual characteristic. For example, the earth element is experienced through softness, roughness, or smoothness. These qualities are unique to the earth element and are not found in the other three elements. The water element does not have hardness or softness. The air element also lacks those qualities. Therefore, hardness and softness are individual characteristics specific to the earth element. And this is why they are called personal or individual characteristics. In Pali, Sabhava Lakhana. The water element has the characteristic of cohesion or fluidity or flowing. It is what allows material phenomena to hold together, giving a sense of continuity. Although the water element is not directly experienced like the other, its function can be inferred through the sensation of binding or joining. And the fire element or the element of temperature has the characteristics of heat, or cold, or warmth. It is responsible for temperature or maturation. This element governs how material phenomena is or decay, and it is directly experienced as varying degrees of warmth or coolness in the body. The air element is experienced as tension, tightness, tautness, stiffness, or movement. It is the element that drives motion and pressure within the body. For example, sensation like rising, falling, stretching, pressure, or vibration are expressions of the air element. So in this way, the four great elements have their individual or personal characteristics. Similarly, mentality has its own unique nature. Mentality can be divided into two main categories: mind and mental factors. Mind and mental factors. The mind has the general nature of knowing or taking the object. It is the central moment of consciousness that always arises with accompanying mental factors. The mental factors, which are 52 in numbers, each have their own distinct nature. For example, greed. Greed has the characteristic of attachment or clinging, whether it arises in the mind of a human or any other being, whether in the mind of an ant or elephant, whether in the mind of an ordinary person, or even in the mind of a non-returner. It does not change its nature. That is why it is considered as ultimate reality. It is considered as ultimate reality. Its characteristic is fixed, unchanging, and can be directly known through insight. So this clinging nature is not found in other mental factors, only found in greed. Similarly, anger. Anger does not have the nature of clinging. It has the nature of aggression or ferocity. Delusion also does not cling. It has the nature of confusion or ignorance. Only greed possesses this attaching quality, which makes it the individual or personal characteristic of greed. Similarly, loving kindness. Loving kindness has the nature of wishing for others' welfare and happiness, a quality that is unique to metta, unique to loving kindness, and not shared by any other mental factor. So just as in the case of physicality, each mental factor has its own personal individual nature. Recognizing these distinct characteristics is essential in the development of insight into mental realities. Meditators should make a sincere effort to explore the individual characteristics of body, physicality, and mentality. This is essential as it forms the foundation, or starting point for realizing deeper characteristics such as impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. Without first knowing these basic characteristics, one cannot truly understand the deeper nature of physical and mental phenomena. As meditators continue progressing in their practice, they begin to witness the second level of characteristics, that is conditional characteristic. The conditional characteristics. These are marked by three distinct moments within each experience: arising or appearance, short continuation or stability, passing away or disappearance. Arising, short continuation, and passing away. These three phases gradually become apparent within the observation of each individual characteristic. For example, while observing the rising of the abdomen, a meditator may notice the appearance of hardness, a brief continuation of hardness, and then its disappearance. The appearance of hardness, a brief continuation of hardness, and then its disappearance. Similarly, they may experience the appearance of warmth, its short stability, and then its passing away. The same can be seen during walking meditation while observing the movement of the feet. One might notice the arising of heaviness, its brief continuation, and then the disappearance of the heaviness. In this way, meditators begin to see not just what a phenomenon is, but how it behaves, arising due to causes and conditions, remaining briefly, and then vanishing. And this clearly reveals the conditioned nature of all phenomena. Importantly, this understanding applies not only through the three phases of physical phenomena, but also to mental phenomena. For example, the appearance of greed, its short continuation, and then its disappearance. The arising of a thought, its brief presence, and its fading away. The appearance of a memory, its short continuation, and its disappearance. So in this way, meditators come to witness the three distinct moments of each experience. And as meditators continue progressing in their practice, they begin to directly explore the third stage of characteristic, the clear perception of just the arising and disappearing of individual phenomena. At this stage, the brief continuation previously noticed becomes inapparent. The mind no longer lingers on the stability of experience. Instead, it sees them as arising and vanishing, moment by moment, arising and vanishing, moment by moment. For example, the appearance of hardness, immediately followed by its disappearance, the arising of warmth, then its vanishing, the appearance of tension, and its dissolution. Similarly, the arising of greed and its disappearance, the appearance of anger followed by its vanishing. At the early stage of this label, meditators may notice the arising and disappearance of phenomena at a slower pace. And in fewer occurrences. However, as the practice matures, the process becomes progressively faster, and the number of observed events increases significantly. So at the beginning, at a slower pace and in fewer occurrences. Later, as the practice matures, progressively faster, and the number of the observed events increases significantly. The mind becomes sharper, more precise, and more attuned to the momentary nature of experience, clearly seeing how physical and the mental phenomena rise and vanish rapidly, one after another without pause. As meditators experience the rapid arising and the passing away of physical and mental phenomena, the impermanent nature of all conditioned things become clearly apparent. This impermanence is seen not as a concept, but as a direct experience, a continuous process of birth and death, a continuous process of birth and death, moment by moment. So, as this insight deepens, the meditators begin to recognize that such a fleeting and unstable process cannot bring true satisfaction. It leads to the realization of truth of suffering, that all conditioned phenomena are ultimately unsatisfactory. Simultaneously, as there is no lasting control or ownership over these constantly changing phenomena, the truth of selflessness becomes evident. There is no I behind the process, just a stream of cause and conditions arising and passing away. So these three characteristics, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness, are known as the common characteristics, because they are shared by all physical and mental phenomena. They are also called the universal characteristics, as they apply to all conditioned realities without exception. In this way, meditators gradually come to witness the, the three levels of characteristics. First, individual characteristics, then second, conditional characteristics, and third, common or universal characteristics. The common characteristics, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness, can only be directly experienced after the conditional characteristics have been clearly identified. I repeat, the common characteristics, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self, can only be directly experienced after the conditional characteristics have been clearly identified, and the conditional characteristics can only be understood after the individual characteristics have been directly experienced. So without experiencing the individual characteristics, the three moments, arising, brief continuation, and passing away, have no reference point, as these moments are not abstract. They occur in relation to the individual characteristics themselves. Likewise, without the clear perception of these conditional phases, the universal characteristics will not become apparent. Each level of insight rests upon the clarity of previous one, unfolding gradually, through consistent and mindful observation. And I would like to emphasize, you don't need to do anything special to explore these characteristics. What truly needed is simply to observe physical and mental phenomena at the moment they arise. To observe physical and mental phenomena at the moment they arise, or when they become clear and obvious. That is the only thing need to be done by the meditators. Through consistent and mindful observation in the present moment, these characteristics, individual, conditional, and universal, will naturally reveal themselves step by step, layer by layer, and this is what we call the penetrative realization of things as they truly are. And I mentioned that when meditators begin to discern these three label characteristics, at first they may notice the arising and the passing away of phenomena at a slower pace and in fewer instances, but as they continue progressing, the process becomes faster and more numerous, with rising and vanishing of mental and physical phenomena happening with great clarity and frequency. At this stage, the spiritual faculties like effort, mindfulness, concentration, and even faith become much stronger and stable. I repeat, the spiritual faculties or qualities, effort, mindfulness, concentration, even faith become more stronger and more stable. The mind becomes bright, energized, and steady. And meditators may also begin to experience the special qualities of refined mental states such as piti, rapture, joy, such as joy or rapture. As I have mentioned before, whenever the mind is kept free from defilements through consistent mindfulness and concentration, some degree of piti, rapture, naturally arise. But at this stage, raptures becomes significantly stronger and more vivid. Rapture has the nature of cherishing and delighting. It pervades and exhilarates and uplifts both body and mind. It brings a refreshing sense of joy, agility, and energy. Let's suppose the meditation process and strengthens the inside experience. And at this stage of practice, meditators may experience various labels of rapture. each with its own intensity and characteristics. These experiences arise naturally as the result of penetrating mindfulness, sustained concentration, and the mind's freedom from defilements. The different types of rapture include minor rapture. Minor rapture, this may manifest as goosebumps, shivers, or the slight tingling sensations on the skin, brief but still noticeable. Then momentary rapture, and this arises suddenly and briefly, like a flash, on and off, and may come on and off during meditation, bringing quick waves of joy or lightness. Another overwhelming rapture. This kind of rapture breaks over the body like waves on the seashore, filling the body with sudden intensity. It can feel powerful and even slightly unsteadying. Fourth, uplifting rapture. Uh, this lifts the mind and body upward. This uplifting rapture lifts the mind and body upward, either literally or perceptually. At times, meditators may genuinely experience the body as being raised slightly off the cushion, or they may simply feel this way because the body and the mind are extremely light. Fifth, pervading rapture. This is the most refined and stable type of rapture, the strongest. It is spreads throughout the entire body, like joyous sensation flowing through every pore, pervading both body and mind. So in this way, at this stage, rapture becomes quite noticeable when meditators come to experience or witness the rapid appearance and the disappearance of the physical and the mental phenomena. At this stage, not only rapture becomes noticeable, but also a deep serenity of mind. Deep serenity of mind becomes very clear. Serenity means a deep sense of calm and peace. A deep sense of calm and peace. It is a kind of coolness, both in the mind and body, free from mental heat or stress caused by worry or defilements. And it is also a sense of lightness. Serenity is also a sense of lightness, free from both mental and physical heaviness. A sense of coolness, free from mental heat or burning. It is also a sense of smoothness or softness, free from rough or tight feeling. It is also a sense of flexible An workable mind, one that easily focuses on the meditation object without resistance, the effortless observation, easy observation. Serenity is also a sense of fresh and healthy mental state, free from exhaustion and any feeling of fatigue. At this stage, meditators do not feel exhaustion or fatigue. And serenity is also a sense of straightforward mental state, free from crookedness. Mind is straightforward. So these features, coolness, lightness, softness, flexibility, healthiness, and straightforwardness, are mentioned in the text to clarify the nature of serenity. Meditators begin to experience them when serenity becomes apparent, and this is the moment when the meditator's mind becomes vividly free from mental suffering. No tension, no anxiety, no stress, no pressure, no frustration, only deep peace, clarity, and inner freedom. So free from mental illnesses at this moment. And in addition, meditators experience a state of mental happiness or bliss which arises from the presence of rapture and inner joy. This is a genuine and deep happiness, much greater and more fulfilling than any sense pleasure. Much greater and more fulfilling than any sense pleasure. When meditators begin to experience this genuine, deeper, and more fulfilling happiness, their attachment to sense objects naturally weakens. The craving for ordinary sense pleasures, sights, sounds, tastes, thoughts, start to lose its grip. So these are the experiences that meditators experience, like a rapture, serenity, mental bliss, joy, vividly at this stage. And another way of describing this process, another way of uh, progressing in insight, is when concentration deepens and the hindrances are kept away from the mind. Meditators begin by seeing physicality as just physicality and mentality as just mentality, without confusing one for the other or mistaking either for a self. They begin to discern mind and matter clearly and separately. From there, they come to realize the cause and effect relationship between them. For example, how certain mental intentions condition bodily movement, or how sensory contact conditions feeling and perception. This deepens to the realization of appearance and the disappearance of both physical and mental phenomena, how they arise due to condition, persist briefly and then pass away. So this entire unfolding process is not conceptual or theoretical, it is direct. It is direct experiential knowledge, and this is the true nature of wisdom. This is the true nature of it. Wisdom, it sees reality clearly, precisely, and without distortion. It is the penetrative, faultless realization of things as they truly are. And realization in this way becomes possible because of the function of wisdom. Because of the function of the wisdom. The function of the wisdom is to shed light on its object, revealing things as they truly are, much like a lamp or the searchlight that illuminates what is otherwise hidden in darkness. By doing so, it enables clear seeing, allowing the meditator to understand phenomena as they truly are, without confusion, distortion, or delusion. There is second function. The second function of wisdom is to destroy the darkness of ignorance. To destroy the darkness of ignorance. Wisdom destroys ignorance, just as a light destroys darkness. When wisdom arises, confusion fades away, the mind becomes clear, and reality is seen. And when the ignorance is destroyed, the other defilements such as greed, anger, are also gradually destroyed, because all defilements are rooted in ignorance. All defilements are rooted in ignorance. As wisdom grows, attachment, hatred, fear begins to fade, and the mind moves toward purity, peace, and liberation. And the manifestation is the state of non-delusion. The manifestation of the wisdom is non-delusion, a mind that sees clearly without confusion or misperception. When wisdom arises, the fog of not knowing, lifts. The mind no longer mistakes what is impermanent for permanent, what is unsatisfactory for pleasing, or what is non-self for a self. Earlier, I explained that meditators come to see physicality and the mentality as see physicality as physicality and mentality as mentality distinctly and clearly. The cause and effect relation between these physicality and mentality and their impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness. So it is very essential to gain these knowledges properly and systematically, because when one deeply realizes that only nama, mentality, and rupa, physicality, truly exists, nothing more than that. No I, no he, no she, no me, no mine. This understanding eliminates the wrong view of a person or being. It eliminates the wrong view of a person or being. More than that, it also removes the wrong view of an individual soul or self. We call Atta-ditthi, revealing the impersonal nature of all phenomena. That's why it is essential to gain these knowledges properly and systematically. And when one realizes the cause and effect relationship between physicality and mentality, understanding that everything arises due to specific conditions and ceases when those conditions change, the wrong views of Natthika Ditthi, I will explain later. The wrong view of Natthika Ditthi or Kriya Ditthi, Ahetuka Ditthi and Visama Hetu Ditthi are naturally eliminated. Four wrong views are naturally eliminated when one realizes the cause and effect relationship uh, uh, properly and systematically. That means by seeing clearly that every experience, every thought, and every event arises because of cause and conditions, one abandons the nihilistic view, that is Natthika Ditthi in Pali, the nihilistic view. Nihilistic view which denies the law of results of action. That is the Natthika Ditthi, which denies the law of results of karma or the action. Then it also abandons the view of non-action that we call Akiriya Ditthi, view of non-action, which believes that whatever one does, whether good or bad, has no moral significance. I repeat, the view of non-action believes that whatever one does, whether good or bad, has no moral significance. It also abandons the causeless view we call Ahetuka Ditthi, which denies both actions and their results altogether. So, causeless view denies both action and their results together, all together. And the view, the Visama Hetu Ditti, the view of unjust or disharmonious causes, which holds that beings suffer or experience happiness as the creation or a will of some external power such as a creator or a god. This is the view of unjust or the disharmonious causes. So these wrong views will be eliminated when one realizes the cause and effect relationship between the physicality and mentality. And when this insight deepens, faith in the law of karma, the faith in law of actions becomes unshakable. The meditators understands through direct experience that wholesome causes brings wholesome results, and unwholesome causes brings suffering. With this right understanding, the mind becomes established in wisdom and walks confidently on the noble path. Walks confidently on the noble path. So then when one begins to explore the arising and the passing away of all physical and mental phenomena, the wrong view of eternalism and the wrong view of annihilationism are also removed by directly observing how every phenomena, whether mental or physical, appears from a moment and then disappears. The meditators understand that there is no permanent, no unchanging self that continues forever, nor is there a complete annihilation of existence after death. Instead, there is only a continuous flow of cause and effects arising and ceasing according to conditions. So in this way, when we develop the insights properly, systematically, simultaneously we dispels the wrong views. That's why it is essential to gain these knowledges properly and systematically, and nothing special need to be done. Meditators simply need to observe the presently arising object with right effort, with right mindfulness. So for today, may you all be able to observe the presently arising object with right effort, with right mindfulness, with right concentration. And by observing in that way, may you be able to develop the wisdom, and through development of the wisdom, may you be able to dispel or abandon all sorts of wrong views.